Israeli Defence Minister Yoav Gallant has described a request by the International Criminal Court ICC prosecutor for arrest warrants against him and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as a disgraceful bid to interfere in the country's conflict with Hamas. Gallant said that prosecutor Karim Khan was trying to deny Israel the right to self-defense and to free its hostages. Khan has accused Israel of violating international laws during its conflict with Hamas. Earlier, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu slammed the ICC prosecutor's move and added that the decision was meant to target all of Israel.
You have to hear this to believe this. The International Criminal Court in The Hague is contemplating issuing arrest warrants against senior Israeli government and military officials as war criminals. This would be an outrage of historic proportions. International bodies like the ICC arose in the wake of the Holocaust committed against the Jewish people. They were set up to prevent such horrors, to prevent future genocides.
US President Joe Biden has also rejected ICC's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders, saying that there is no equivalence between Israel and Hamas.
We reject the ICC's application for arrest warrants against Israeli leaders. Whatever these warrants may imply, there is no equivalence between Israel and Hamas. And it's clear Israel wants to do all it can to ensure civilian protection. But let me be clear. Contrary to allegations against Israel made by the International Court of Justice, what's happening is not genocide. We reject that. We will always stand with Israel and the threats against its security.
So this news of ICC warrants against Israel has garnered widespread condemnation also from the United Kingdom. My colleague Ollie Barrett takes it forward from me here and gives us more on this and other news making headlines around the world. Clearly, Ollie, this conflict falling under a complex international system of justice that has emerged since the Second World War.
That's right, Tanvi, and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has made his views very clear as well. He's calling the ICC's move deeply unhelpful, insisting that it won't lead to a pause in fighting or the release of hostages.
Well, this is a deeply unhelpful development. Of course, it's still subject to a final decision, but it remains deeply unhelpful nonetheless. There is no moral equivalence between a democratic state exercising its lawful right to self-defense and the terrorist group Hamas.
Now, Russia says it's curious that the United States appears ready to use sanctions against the International Criminal Court, whose prosecutor requested those arrest warrants. The Kremlin added that it does not recognize the ICC's jurisdiction itself, as it was not a party to the Rome Statute, which established the court. In 2023, the ICC issued warrants for the arrest of President Vladimir Putin over the Ukraine conflict.
As you know, we are not the parties to the relevant statute, therefore we do not recognize the jurisdiction of the court. That's the first thing. In general, the situation is more than curious in terms of the US attitude and willingness to use sanctions method even against the ICC.
Well, DD India's Sarah Coates joins us live now for more from Tel Aviv. Sarah, what has the reaction been in Israel to the attempts to secure those arrest warrants?
Hello there, Ollie. Reactions just keep coming in. What the Israelis are really seeing this is an attack against everyone in the country. Now, as we go to air, meetings are happening here in Tel Aviv with senior Israeli officials and also law teams. They're trying to work out how to get a grip on this situation going forward. Now, I'll bring you some of Netanyahu's reaction. That's the Israeli Prime Minister. He says that this is a complete distortion of reality and is aimed against the entire state of Israel, calling it scandalous, saying yesterday during a Likud faction meeting, "Nothing will stop us and nothing will stop me." Now, Israel's Foreign Minister, Israel Katz, he's calling this an unrestrained attack against all of the victims of October 7 and the hostages, the 124 Israeli captives that are still being held in the Gaza Strip. Now, he has instructed the Foreign Ministry to open a situation room to deal with this going forward. Now, Israel is really leaning on its closest ally, the United States. We heard those comments there from Joe Biden. We've also heard comments coming out from the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken. He believes that this now may put these potential hostage and ceasefire talks in jeopardy. So certainly a lot of anger happening or being felt around Israel in the wake of this announcement by Khan. Ollie.
Okay, and Sarah, what is the latest on the conflict itself?
Well, certainly heavy fighting is continuing right across the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military says that over the past 24 hours, it has hit some 70 targets belonging to Hamas. These are things like weapons storage facilities and also rocket launchers. Now, we do know that there's heavy fighting going on in the north. This is in and around the Jabalia refugee camp. Also in the center of the strip, this is the Netzarim corridor, a man-made road by the IDF which separates the north and the south, and of course also down in this southern region of Rafah, where we do need to remember it was designated as a humanitarian zone up until fairly recently. Now, the Defence Minister Yoav Gallant, he actually came out yesterday to say that this operation in Rafah will be expanded, and this of course is of great concern given the sheer amount of people that are sheltering there. According to the United Nations, more than 800,000 people have now fled, but we do know that there are still nearly 500,000 people seeking shelter there, although Palestinians on the ground, Ollie, say there is simply no place safe to go. And just very briefly, there's also an ongoing raid happening right now in the West Bank in the city of Jenin, with the Palestinian Red Crescent saying at least 7 Palestinians have been killed in what the IDF is calling a counter-terror operation. Ali.
Sarah Coates in Tel Aviv, thank you.